At number 3, this is almost a little bit of redemption tour, but I clearly would have a new partner because we fumbled the rock on this one, and that's Amazing Race. So Jessie, me and HLS, we auditioned for the Amazing Race, and we did not make it. Okay,
Oh.
because
Tell them why. Who was the line stepper in that?
Well, it's your boy SoSo Juv, and welcome to another episode of the My 5 Cents podcast. Let me go ahead and introduce the cast of characters to my up that way. I'm gonna switch it up too. Logical Genius, what's going on, baby?
That threw me off for a second. The logical one is in the building, ready to go. Let's go.
I know, we switch it up. And to my diagonal that way, we got HLS.
Habitual line stepper in the building. What's up, everybody?
What's going on, man? How you feeling?
Oh, I'm good. I'm ready to
roll. Ready to roll. This is a good topic for the show today.
This is a good topic.
I struggled, I'll be honest with you, but I'm happy with my list.
Okay, good. So the topic that we're speaking about is our 5 cents on the shows that we guest star on in a heartbeat. And let's go ahead and introduce our big guest.
Yeah. Who we got today?
Yeah, our guest is originally from Sao Paulo, Brazil, and is a Taiwanese Brazilian graduate of Studio 58's prestigious acting conservatory style program based in Vancouver, Canada. She is best known for her reoccurring roles in The Night Agent and The Maid, which I love that show. That was great. She was guest starring in Nickelodeon's Are You Afraid of the Dark? And her appearances in popular series like Virgin River and Supergirl. She helps emerging actors demystify the industry and empower them to take precise action and build confidence in their careers. Please welcome to the My 5 Cents podcast, Jessie Liang. Welcome, Jessie.
Wow, thank you so much. I'm so excited.
You're excited? Wow.
Yeah, I love your energy. The energy of the three of you together is great.
Oh, thanks so much.
Yeah, you haven't seen nothing yet. So Jessie,
input tonight.
Yeah, let's get into the icebreaker. What is your superpower and how has it assisted you in your journey?
I love that question. I would say one of my superpowers is sensing other people's emotions, feelings, and vibes. It feels kind of esoteric to say it that way, but basically it comes down to me being a very empathetic person and being able to, see how someone is doing. And then I think, especially when it comes to acting, being good at asking the right questions or giving the right offers, and so helping people move through whatever they're going through. But on a personal relationship level, I'm also a really great listener because of that. So I'm good at noticing when something's off and then asking people, hey, what's up? Let's chat. And then people open up to me, and I'm there to be a good friend or a good daughter or a good partner. Yeah, all of the things.
Great. So, Jessie, my follow-up to that, because in your bio, you talk about demystifying the industry and you being empathetic. Now, from what I understand, it is a real dog-eat-dog world when it comes to the acting biz. So how do you remain empathetic and be successful in this, I guess, realm?
Yeah, actually, great question. I think that's part of being an artist. You cannot close yourself off in that way. You can't let yourself get into the shark eat shark world, because then I think that would limit you in your creativity. So I would say, it's very competitive. And the way to not fall into this dog-eat-dog competition mindset is to know that there's space for all of us. right? Like the reason why we are artists and why we have this need to create the inspiration and the juices to keep doing what we do is because it's a gift that the world wants to see, and we all have our own audiences, right? So I think, yeah, you just have to trust that what you have is for someone out there. People want to see you and hear you and experience you. And building community is the best way to not have that competition, because then you know to focus on relationships, you know to focus on what's real, which is people, which is helping your community or inspiring them or helping each other out. And so everyone individually as an artist can keep doing their thing, knowing that there's space for all of us. We don't have to compete. And it's never personal, really, when someone, books a role and then you don't have to be like, oh, what did they do versus what I did? It's just never personal. So you just have to stay on your own journey and keep finding friends along the way that will help inspire you, or a mentor. That's also been game changer for me when I found mentors in the industry. Yeah.
Wow. So who is your mentor? Let me sneak that one in there.
Yeah, so currently I am working with Metro. She's an incredible director, actor. I think she's done sound design. She's done all sorts of things. So she's huge in the theater scene here in Vancouver. I met her when I was in theater school still, and she came for a business workshop once and just talked to us very openly and directly about how the business side of things was. And I just remember putting in my head, like, oh, I would love to work with this woman one day. She's kick ass. And then last year I got an award, like I applied for it. So it wasn't a grant. It was like an award within a theater company here in Vancouver. It's called Arts Club. And I was able to get the Bill Millard Artist Fund Award. And I used that to get a directing mentorship. And so I was like, I know exactly who I want to collaborate with. And I've been meeting with Meg for almost a year now. And yeah, been instrumental. Like she was the one that made me feel like I could full on be a director. And I did that last year. And I think I did a pretty good job. That's it. To my own horn.
Congrats.
Yeah. So let me backtrack a little if I could. So what kind of led you into the art to the acting industry and taking that route, right? Because you said you somebody has something to tell, a story to tell, and you want to tell it and hope that people latch on to what you want to tell. Because your background is very like interesting, right? Taiwanese from Brazil, like that's an interesting angle. And actually I'm going to ask you to speak Portuguese later on just so I can hear it. But but how did you end up in this route? Like, how did you end up in this career and this career path?
So to be very honest, I wanted to be an actor since I was a child. Okay. However, coming from an Asian background, my parents and their families were immigrants, and they went from Taiwan to Brazil in the 60s. And so my parents grew up with that immigrant Asian mentality. Yep. And then they put that on me and my sister and our whole generation. So like my cousins and all of us, we all were raised with that idea of like, you have to be a lawyer or a doctor.
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That
Engineer.
kind of.
Yep. I've gotten that. Yep.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. And my sister, she's older than me. She's a musician and she's a rebel. If you tell her to do something, she'll do the opposite just because you told her to do something, And so I grew up in a household where she was, and my parents were very, in conflict all the time. And especially when my sister wanted to go into music, that was such an issue in our household. And so I was always terrified of admitting to anyone that I wanted to be an actor. And I just like pushed that feeling down. And I did what my parents wanted me to do. I picked the one profession or maybe the one type of degree that would require the least amount of math out of all of the things. So I studied business management, you know. So I only took, I think, math for like 1 or 2 semesters, and that was it. That's all I had to do.
And then you
Yeah,
stuck in some
done.
acting
Done.
courses along the way, right? Probably.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I think life, it takes a turn, and not to bring down the emotions here, but my dad actually passed away in the middle of my university career. And so that, I think, changed everything, not just for me, but I think our whole family was like, whoa, it came out of nowhere, and there's no point. Like, my dad worked so hard and he never really got to enjoy life. And so we all kind of had this new Carpe Diem mentality. And I was inspired to reveal a part of myself, not fully yet, but I said, oh, I would love to work in the film industry. And I think I can use these skills that I learned as a business management student. I can produce things. And so I went and I did that for a little bit, got into the Vancouver Film School in the management, got a management diploma. So I like produced all sorts of things, produced an album, produced an event, and then a short film. And then after that year, my mom asked me, she was like, so are you happy now? And I was like, actually, no, I'm not happy. I would like to be an actor. And that's when that journey, happened. So that was literally 10 years ago. Exactly April 2015, I auditioned for theater school and I got in, and I was like, okay,
Wow.
this is the thing. Like, I've waited 25 years to get to this point. So it's all or nothing. And I really
Yeah.
doubled down on making sure that I would, be a working actor. And here I am 10 years later.
Well,
Yeah.
kudos to you for following, your dream, and then kind of sticking. As someone who has Asian parents, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I know that, yeah, it's. I'm surprised in the music route though, because I was kind of forced to play the violin when I was younger, and I wasn't really bad at it. But the music route was always something that my parents were okay with. In addition to being like, that was my third choice, like doctor, lawyer, or fourth choice, engineer, and then musician. Right? They were okay with the musician, so I was
Yeah.
surprised that
Whoa,
the
you could have
musician was
been the musical genius.
no, because I used to play the violin and I used to poke my I used to poke the person next to me with my bow. Like, I don't know if I did it on purpose or accidentally. I was just really bad at it, and it's just, I'm like, yeah, enough.
Yeah, it's funny, right? Like, I mean, I'd say they, like, our Asian parents, they put us in all these like music schools and like
hmm
all these activities after school, like swimming and like tennis classes and
hmm
whatever. And then they're like, but you can't actually take it seriously though.
Yeah. You need a real
It's like
job.
such
You need
a
a real
weird,
career. Yeah.
weird rule. But yeah.
Yeah, you mentioned acting as a community, and there's enough roles for everybody. How do you apply that mentality, especially when I think it's getting better with so many different forms of media, so many different opportunities with all these different networks? But you being Asian, like coming up in the certain time with television, there's only like one black character,
Mm.
right? And there was like one Asian character. But you're saying it's community and there's enough roles for everybody. How do you apply that mentality to say it's okay, there's enough roles for everybody when there's still a lot of typecasting in this day and age?
Yeah. Okay, so let me correct myself there. I don't think there are enough roles for everybody. There's definitely not enough. There's like not enough jobs in the world, right, for everyone. Um, but I do think that there is space for everyone's artistry. And the thing about being an artist is that most of the times you're not just one thing. A lot of the times you have multiple skills, and then you can use those skills for different things. And so I think to address that is, something that I've done. And I think every single artist that I know, we all wear a million hats, aside from also having a day job or something. Um, I'm an artist as an actor, a playwright, a director. I do coaching. And so there's like a ton of stuff that I do. And I've been auditioning less this year because I had to join the union last year. And it's a whole other kettle of fish here in Vancouver when you go union. And so I've been channeling all of my creativity as well, of like, well, I'm not auditioning 4 times a week anymore, so I might as well do some content for Instagram. And that's just like one way of expressing that part of me. And so I think, yes, there's space for everyone's artistry. We just need to channel whatever our creativity and inspiration is into whatever, you're called to do. So I think a lot of people end up creating their own work when you are not. And I think that's just the general advice that we hear all the time. It's like, if you're not getting cast in things, go create your own thing. Go make a web series. Go become a content creator. Go write your like one woman show, and then just keep putting yourself out there. So there's that aspect of things, but you are absolutely right. There is definitely not enough diversity. Things are getting better, but it is a slow progression.
Yeah.
And so when I was in theater school 10 years ago, I had that resolution where I was resolved. I was like, I know that there are no rules for people that look like me. I'm probably never going to have an opportunity to speak in Portuguese, which is like one of my native languages. And I'm sure that that's not a thing I'm going to get to do. But I want to do this so bad that I will take the role of like, I would just be a nurse nurse number 2 in I don't know, an episode of The Good Doctor. I was like so okay with like, that's just what it's gonna be, but at least I'm gonna try this thing that I've always wanted to do. So I had to accept that. And in theater school, I was kind of like told that like it's gonna be rough. I met people that were Asian that had graduated 5-10 years before me, and they were like never booked a single thing for like 5 years.
Wow.
So then once I was graduating theater school, diversity became more of a conversation. And it was one of those, like, as soon as I graduated, I think the industry kind of turned and people were looking for diversity. So I was able to actually get my foot through the door and actually book a bunch of things. And that's a conversation I've had with people that came before me. They all had to basically be the ones to pave that road for us. And now, it's like cool to see them working more. And then also there is space for me now. Definitely not as much as, if I wasn't Asian. I think that there are so many casting offices that only bring me in when it says that it's an actual female and Asian character. If it says like any other, oh, this person, they have qualities, right? Like they're funny and they work at the bank and blah, blah, blah. Are they going to bring me in for that? Not always, So that's still a thing. And it's slowly getting better. And the only way to keep working through that is making sure that your voice is heard, making sure that it's a conversation we're always having. There are systemic things that we can keep addressing, right? So whether it's like the union asking productions to have some level of diversity, or big stars when they have their writers, when they go into being the lead of a big, I don't know, Marvel movie, they can ask, they want 30% women in the production. They can, they can do things like that. So it's going to be a slow progression, but I think, every 5-10 years, we are like leaps and bounds from where we were before. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of diversity, are you seeing in the entertainment industry a rollback of diversity following Trump's election in office, with the DEI rollbacks in federal places? Are you seeing that in the entertainment industry as well?
Honestly, I'm not seeing it, but it could be that either I'm not seeing it because I'm in Canada, and it's either that or it's just too soon to tell, But Hollywood is pretty liberal in general.
Yeah, no, agreed.
So I don't think that Hollywood would agree to doing that. Yeah. We'll see though. It's pretty fresh.
Yeah, curious.
Mm-hmm.
So back to you demystifying the industry. What do you think is the common misconception about the industry?
I think the biggest one is that you need to be a huge social media person and become famous to be able to get roles and get into the industry. I think there's too much emphasis on having a large social media following. It's like in the end, when you're going in for auditions, you still have to be a good actor. And also trust. There are many influencers out there. All of them have managers and agents and stuff. They try to audition as well, and they're not the ones that are booking everything. Does it help? Yeah, absolutely. But is it the thing that people should focus on? No. And I think a lot of people are worried about that. I mean, I sometimes worry about it. I sometimes get fooled into the myth.
Well, we no longer want you to be fooled as we transition to the next part of our show. And Logical Genius, please explain to Jessie what's about to happen next.
All right, Jessie, you've established your credibility with our audience. So you are now the expert in our upcoming debate topic. And the topic for today is the top 5 shows we'd be guest stars in a heartbeat. And what each of us are going to do, the SoSo Juv, the HLS, and myself are going to present to you our top 5 list of shows that we would want to be on as guest characters or guest stars. And you get to decide from that which one of us has the best list. And you get to decide who goes first, who goes second, and who goes last. And at the end of it, we want you to tell us who the third place loser is. We skip second place because we don't care about second place, and we want to know straight to first place who is numero uno for today's topic. Are you up to the task?
I am. Yes.
Great.
Let's go.
So before you get to the task at hand, there is a criteria for judging. So please, HLS, explain to our guests what is the criteria for judging.
Jessie, with acting, you have to be a certain way. Maybe you have to look beautiful, or look like a bum, or be the love interest, or the flirty friend. There's things you have to follow when acting. For this show, there's none of that. You might choose me because I've tried my hand at acting before, in very, very dramatic, serious, meaningful roles.
Why are we face palming?
He thinks OnlyFans is acting. That's why.
You submit your license for a reason, Jesse.
Listen, I'm a content creator. I'm a content creator, just like Jesse said. OnlyFans is a content creator, okay?
You might pick me, Jesse, because eu falo português.
Oh boy!
Wow!
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
I'm writing that down.
Don't fall for it.
Yes. Tudo bem.
You might pick me because you're going to see the logic and the genius in my list because it's fully diverse. Fully diverse.
I love.
Whatever you decide is completely up to you. However, your first decision happens now. You get to decide who goes first.
Okay. Well, I'll put SoSo. Let's go on the line right now.
All right, in the building. Yes, Jesse. This topic here, it's a good one. And this is my 5 cents on the shows that I'd guest spot in a heartbeat. And at number 5, I'm starting off with Law and Order. The reason being, so many actors have gone through Law and Order. Sarah Paulson, Laverne Cox, Idris Elba, SoSo Juv. Think about it now. Definitely have to have Law and Order on the list. At number 4, the show has become a hit sensation. But it's free food that I'm in it for, and that's the Hot Ones. You know that you have made it if you made it onto Hot Ones. And of course, the wings, the conversation, the in-depth talk, you know that you've reached a certain status if you're on Hot One.
Yeah.
At number 3, this is almost a little bit of a redemption tour, but I clearly would have a new partner because we fumbled the rock on this one. And that's Amazing Race. So Jesse, me and HLS, we auditioned for the Amazing Race and we did not make it. Okay. Because
tell them why. Who was the line stepper in that?
Well, the line stepper was actually these 2 other people that actually did make the show, and they were singing I forget what you call that. I forget what you call that. But they were singing
Yodeling?
that stuff.
Yodeling? Yeah, yodeling.
Was it yodeling? Was it?
I don't know.
I
You
felt like
tell.
they
You
were
were
doing
there. I was
something
there.
like that. But we went to the
Okay.
New York audition and we made a joke on them, and they actually made the show, and we didn't make the show. So my redemption tour, Amazing Race. At number 2, Jesse. I mean, there's many reasons, but gotta go with Grey's Anatomy. Imagine Meredith being stuck between a rock and a hard place. To be worked on Dr. SoSo. Now, you really don't want anybody named SoSo doing surgery on you, right? Right? But he's actually a genius that comes in and saves the day. I mean, Dr. SoSo, and on top of it, afterwards, we get to have hot sex in the break room. I mean, like, Grey's Anatomy has to be on the list. And at number 1, because in my daytime job, I honestly feel like I live this, and I honestly feel like I could have wrote this show, which I think goes to the notion that, hey, if you don't do it do it yourself, someone else will, and that's Abbott Elementary. I work in education, and man, some of those things I'm like, yeah, and I could probably trump it with some of the stories that I have there. So one day, maybe after I'm done and I'm retired, maybe I'll write my own Abbott Elementary, and you guys can hear all the stories that I've collected over the years. So, Jesse, this is my 5 cents on the topic. Who would you like to hear from next?
Okay, thanks for that. I hope you do write your version of Abbott. I will go with your not great, amazing race partner, HLS, next.
Good choice. So, Jesse, here's my 5 cents on the topic. And this one, as SoSo Juv likes to say, I'm going to steal one of his lines. This is personal to me. It's personal to me.
It's the only way you have a chance is to steal my lines, buddy.
At number 5, believe it or not, I too have Amazing Race. And the reason I have that is one, I like to travel.
Mm-hmm.
And fun fact, I did go to Brazil, and I did drop the ball because I thought they spoke Spanish there.
Oh,
Yeah,
Jesse!
Oh,
It was
party
bad luck.
foul. What is
that's
this?
negative
I-
15 points.
Yeah, I can't believe you even admitted to that.
I own it. I own it. With
I
Amazing Race.
so want to interrupt you. I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you.
Please.
This man, we said, all right, we're going to Brazil. I took the time to go through the Rosetta Stone and get us right. And when I tell you, he was walking in the airport like this, we got to the cab, and then he started speaking. It wasn't he spoke Spanish. He spoke broken New York Spanish. Like his own concoction of what Spanish is supposed to sound like. And I was like, oh my God, we're going to get killed out here.
It was good Spanish. It didn't work. It didn't work.
That bodega Spanish. That's what
It
he
didn't work.
learned.
It didn't work.
Wow.
But that's my number 5. Yes, Amazing Race. And SoSo Juv dropped the ball because he showed up late. I was waiting in line for 2 hours, and SoSo Juv showed up at the last minute, got online, didn't have a chance to review, didn't have a chance to rehearse, but that's that. Number 5, Amazing Race. And number 4, I love competition, right? We're on the My 5 Cents podcast. Us three are very competitive. I love this show since it first came out. I kind of grew up with the show. I don't know how many people watch it. It's a fan favorite of mine. It's The Challenge on MTV.
Oh.
I just love the competition. I love the camaraderie with the cast. I love the backstabbing. They're friends, but they're not friends. The Challenge, MTV. I love it.
You know, I don't think I've ever watched it. What happens? What's the challenge? What are the challenges?
It's just a series of competitions. And at the end of it, it's like $1 million prize. You should tune in. You should tune in.
Okay. I'm writing that down.
And number 3, I have, and this one, unfortunately, it's stained in American society. It'll always have this asterisk on it. It's a good show, but it's The Cosby Show.
Ah.
When I grew up watching this show, I loved how they handled conflict. When Theo was late for dinner, they had a whole court case with their friends and a trial. When Vanessa came home drunk, they were playing the drinking game. The way they just handled conflict in that show and they solved problems, I thought was great. It's the first time on television you saw a successful black family. I mean, they had black shows before them, but you had Sanford and Son. They operated a junkyard. You had, the Jeffersons who were successful, but they had bigoted neighbors. The Cosby Show was just one nice nucleus of black family, and I loved it. And number
Okay.
two, this again, I love competition, and I want to go home with some money. And I don't know how big this one was, but I watched it and I loved it. And it's on Prime. It's called Mr. Beast Games.
Mm.
You're familiar?
I know of Mr. Beast, that's for sure. I've seen clips of it too.
Yep. There is a way. The grand prize was huge, huge. But this guy was just giving away money. Just giving away money.
Mm-hmm.
He would try to say, hey, listen, here's $500,000 just to walk away right now. A lot of times people go on these game shows and go home with nothing. I'm going home with something. And Mr. Beast was going to give something to everybody. And the number one, again, this might be my favorite show of all time. I love the sport. I could vicariously live through these characters. Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
Friday Night Lights. One of the best shows on television.
Okay.
Clear eyes, full hearts, can't lose. And that, Jessie, that's my 5 cents on the topic.
I love. Okay. Well, last but not least, my Asian brother.
You saved the best
And
for
then my
last. I
chunky.
appreciate that, Jesse.
Yeah.
So Jesse, when back in school, when the teacher gives an assignment and just you have students just didn't read the assignment properly and just did it wrong, I felt like my two co-hosts did that with this assignment. They went on a completely different angle, and I approached it, which is fine. That's their list. They have a right to approach it a certain
Yeah.
way. So I what I love about television and movies are the different genres that they offer, right? The variety of storytelling or whatever. So that was my approach to my list. I would if there were a top 5 list of genres that I had to be on and shows I had to be on, I want to be on these shows as a guest character, essentially. At number 5, I'm putting the show on it because it's a relatively new show, but I'm going with recency bias, but it's a great show. The show is called The Pit. It stars Noah Wyle. It's a medical drama. It takes place in a Pittsburgh hospital that covers like an emergency room. So think like 24, the show 24, but with medical drama. So each episode, it's like in that timeline, and it's real. It shows all of the stuff that I didn't think they would show on television, but they do. It's a really intense medical drama. So that's the medical drama I would go with. So The Pit at number 5. At number 4, this is a show that was really near to my childhood. I watched it every single day with my family, so it's near and dear to me. My mom watched it, which is ironic, and she loved the show. It's the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air with Will Smith. It's a comedy, a sitcom, situational comedy, but it also touched on like emotional things. There were, 2 main episodes in that show just had me in tears at that point, at that age. One with his father coming and then leaving and just leaving abruptly. And then the last episode when he was saying goodbye to his uncle and making him seem like he was more of a father to him. But that show was just always the situations that they put themselves in, whether it was being locked in a ski cabinet or whatever. I felt like I would have enjoyed myself being a character on that show. At number 3, I'm going to go with a thriller, government conspiracy, international conspiracy. I'm going with Jack Ryan, which was a series that was on Prime, starring John Krasinski. You want, spy thriller, government conspiracy, international travel, gun action, all of that stuff. This show has it for you. I would love to have been a character on this show or a guest on this show. At number 2, I don't know how many people would know this show, but I thought it would be renewed for a 4th season when Netflix picked it up, but it didn't. and the show is called Warrior. So Warrior is a show that takes place in the 19th century. It's a martial arts Asian gang war drama. It takes place in San Francisco. I've always wanted to be in martial arts, so I would think that I would love and enjoy like doing a fight scene because the choreograph and choreographed fight scenes in here are amazing. But the show is witty, it's dark. So if you like the gang aspect of it and the period piece aspect of it, it's a show that I hope, I know, and they announced that they wouldn't bring it back, but I really hope Netflix changes their minds and brings it back because it's a great show. I really, really enjoy it. It was originally, I think, on HBO Max for 3 seasons, and then Netflix picked it up, and a lot of fans were hoping that they would renew it, but they didn't. But would love to be on that show as a guest, kick some ass, do some coke, real fake cocaine or something like that, and do that on the show. And at number one, I'm surprised this didn't come. Well, I'm not surprised that HLS didn't say this, but I'm surprised SoSo Juv didn't say this. But number one for me is Game of Thrones. I would love to be on Game of Thrones. My name would be Lord Logical of House Genius. Like that's what I would be. That's what I would be. You know, my slogan would be is where logic leads, genius follows. Like, you know, like you had the sex, you had the violence, you had the mythical aspect. You know, like I don't care if I'm in one episode and I die immediately because that's what you get when you're on that show. Like that show, I think everyone would want to be on that show because it was such a popular show for so long and still is. You know, you have the spin-offs or whatever that people are in love with. I feel like anyone would want to be on that show just to be a guest, just to be a character on that show, and just to get killed off abruptly or randomly, unexpectedly, and just everyone's like, "What? I can't believe Lord Logical got killed by, you know, a random wagon that went loose or something like that, you
By
know, or
Sir
whatever."
SoSo. That's who's killing him.
Maybe, but to me, Game of Thrones is number one. It has to be number one on everyone's list. And Jessie, that's my top 5.
Okay, I love.
Wow.
Right.
So, Jessie, what's going to happen is next week, you're going to have the difficult decision of putting someone in third place and crowning someone a winner as we go through our cross-examination and deliberation. So until next week, this is our 5 cents. Thank you, everybody.